What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Working on old Betsy again. Today we got some intermittent misfires, so we're going to be doing the coil pack on this bad boy. What I found is the easiest is to put a little blanket on there just to protect the bumper cover, because you can get your knees here and then you'll be able to lean over that engine compartment, and it's the easiest way to access it, I found. Okay, so we're going to start with the passenger side. We got cylinders 1, 2, 3, and 4. What I like to do is get this PCV valve unhooked. So your finger here on the green, you just push it and it will pull straight up. That just gets this hose flexible so you can get your arm in and around there. So I don't really have to mess around with the back part, so we're just going to leave it loose. That's just for moving it back and forth. So step 1, get your 7mm. Obviously I'm using the Milwaukee, makes it super easy to have a power ratchet. 7mm on the extension, and first one is here. You're going to remove it. They're usually not very tight, so you can spin them out. They are kind of long though. All right, set those up. And then the plug is on the bottom side, so you can just use your fingertip and just pull it out. The coil pack itself is just going to pull right out of the hole. And there you go. Moving on to number 2. Same thing, fingertip, pull it off. And I believe these are the original, so I don't think I ever replaced them. I think this one, I replaced it with some, we were out of town or something, I replaced it with an aftermarket. As you can see, this white looking one here. But other than that, I think the other ones are all original. This is 2004, so it's like, 18, 19 years old. Okay, like I said, now you have your little hose loose so you can move it out of your way. Get your finger there. Unplug, and these are all, you can't really mess them up because they're all right next to the actual coil pack, so you're not going to get confused. Yeah, this is some aftermarket one that we put on years ago. Okay, so the number 4 cylinder, as you can see, it's a little tight, but with the Milwaukee, it makes things easy. So you can just get it in there and get it out easier. Reach back, get the bolt, and then it's a little tricky to unplug because it's back there, but just reach in. Like I said, you're basically laying over the engine. That's why you got your knees on the bumper cover. You got it protected, and just give it a little wiggle and it comes out. On the driver's side, you do have to remove this little bracket in order to access cylinder number 5. I have an aftermarket intake on this, but it's basically the same. You have your little breather tube that will hook to the back of the intake. So just unhook that, get that out of your way. And then we're going to be removing these 3 8mm bolts that hold this top of the bracket here. Okay, that just lifts off, and I just set it to the side there. It has a little wire harness connected to it, so just set it there. We need to access number 5. Obviously number 5 is directly below that bracket. So now that we got that, we switch back to 7mm, and then we can get in there, and as you can see, it's a little tighter than the other side. There we go. So same thing, get the plug, pull it out, grab your screw, don't drop it, Okay, number 5. Moving on to number 6. Number 6, you kind of go underneath this breather tube here, come in it from the brake master cylinder side, and then you can access it. Plug here. Okay, and then just pull it out. Okay, got number 6 out. All right, working on number 7, same approach. Okay, number 7 is out. Number 8 is the most tricky because it's back there, but you can still get the Milwaukee in. You kind of go up under next to the brake booster, and you can see this there where my socket is. You can see the bolt. Okay. And just gently take your wrench off. Sometimes the bolt tries to stick to your extension, and that's no fun. You don't want to drop this guy. And then you got to get your fingers in there and grab that little guy out. All right, unplug it, the connector. You can unplug the connector before you take the bolt out too. Sometimes, you know, they're stuck. And just wiggle it out. And number 8's out. The best price we found was around 23 bucks at Rock Auto. So we ordered from those guys. And check that out, huh? Nice little VW. Cool. All right. So this is Denso. They're the original manufacturer for Ford. So we got our 8 coil packs, and I also just bought a PCV valve. I've never changed that thing since I own the truck for the last 15-20 years, so might as well do that while we're there. So let's jump on getting these new ones installed. Just to show you guys the part number for the 4.6 liter. The 5.4 uses a different coil pack. It's very similar, but slightly different shape. Just a quick shot of new versus old. Everything looks the same. Okay, so these Denso, they already come pre-lubed with the dielectric grease or silicone, so we're good. So just remember, on the driver's side, all the bolts are on the back, and on the passenger side, all the bolts are in the front. So just try to orientate your coil pack, and you're just going to get it back into that hole, and then slide it down the plug, and then basically just make sure that you're sitting flush. Just give it a little press on the top, and then you know that your hole is lined up in the back there. And so, like I said, this number 8 is the most challenging. So you want to get the bolt in your hand, and you kind of come around from the side, and I just drop the bolt into position there, okay? And then I take my extension off the ratchet, and then you can guide the bolt into the hole. Makes it easier, then you're guaranteed not to drop it and lose it. And then once you get it started, you thread it in by hand, a couple turns, make sure you're not cross-threaded. And then you can grab your ratchet. We got our Milwaukee on. Okay, and then what we gotta do is plug in the connector, Make sure it seats all the way down and clicks into place. You can give it a little tug, make sure you're all the way seated. So bolt hole towards the back. Like to just get it in, get it started, and then, you know, do a couple turns by hand. Then you know you're not cross-threaded. Last thing you want to do is cross-thread it. But this Milwaukee is a lifesaver, so if you don't have one, I would suggest investing in one because it is handy. Because if you had a normal ratchet, you would be over here going click, 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 click for a lot longer, let's just say. Okay, go ahead and plug the connector in. Make sure it seats. If it pops off, then you know you didn't click it on hard enough, so. Okay. Number 6. Kind of behind power steering reservoir here. Get it into the hole. Remember the bolts in the back. You might have to guide it here. Really, it goes onto the spark plug because it really has no other, place to go. So it's gonna find its home relatively easy because it's a narrow hole, and the spark plug, it'll just slide right on. So just get it there, and then get your screw. Give it a couple turns. Like I said, the connectors are all next to the coil pack, so you really can't, it would be impossible to plug them in incorrectly because they're too far away from the other hole. Okay, number 5 here. This one's a lot easier because it's right in front of you. Slide it right down. Get our screw. Get it into the hole. Start a couple threads. Okay, plug the connector in. Okay, now we can put our bracket back on. So grab your bracket. What I like to do is just start these two first. You're going to switch back to your 8mm socket. So after you get those two, you just push a little to the right and it'll fall onto the thermostat housing here, and you can start that last one. Now let's go to the passenger side. Okay, so now we're on the passenger side. Remember, on this side, the bolts face forward. So you get your plug, coil pack in position, find the hole, and then remember the bolt hole is towards the front. So you get in position, drop your bolt in, give it a couple turns, make sure you're not cross-threaded. And then get the Milwaukee on there. And the plug is all the way back. Reach back and then push it towards you. And then until you hear the click. All right, next, got number 3. Remember, bolt forward. Get your connector out of your way. Push it down. Okay. Get our bolt in. you know, some of them you can just, can't really get your hand in there very good. So other ones you just have to get started with your extension. And then switch over to the ratchet, cinch it down. And then we plug it in. Okay, click. All right, now we're getting easier, getting closer to the front. Number 2, cylinder number 2. Get it there. Put your PCV hose back, breather tube, get it out of your way. And then get started again. Okay, tighten it up. Okay, we've got our plug here. All right, and cylinder number 1. I always like to start in the back because then it just gets easier as you move forward. Drop it in, get your extension, do a couple threads by hand. Make sure you're not cross-threaded. Okay, and then plug in the last one. Okay, so that concludes all of the coil packs. And like I said, since we were here and I've never replaced it, then I was just going to throw that new PCV valve since we have it unhooked. So you can just get a Crescent wrench, and it's a thread-on style. So just thread it off, and remember you have the little notch right here as it comes out. So we pull it out. So here's the part number for the new one. Okay, so remember that notch was kind of facing towards the center of the engine, and then we're going to just snug it down. Okay, and it falls in the notch. Okay, and it clicks into place. And then to plug this back in, all you have to do is just push straight down, and it clicks into place. All right, and so then I'm just gonna hook the battery back up. That way we reset all of our, pending and intermediate misfire codes.
Keep that phone.
All right, guys, hopefully that helped you out with your Ford F-150 repair. Knock those coil packs out in no time at all. So catch you on the next one.